Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about Ostara, or the spring equinox that's coming up on March 20th. This was actually requested by one of my viewers or subscribers. Their name is IDK. So they wanted more information because they're very new to Wicca, which I can relate to. This is going to be my first Ostara as well. This is going to be my first spring equinox as practicing. So I'm in the same boat. I feel your pain. But they wanted to know more about traditions for that occur on the spring equinox, stuff like that, rituals. And they were having a hard time finding anything consistent or reliable. And I feel the pain. I've been trying to do a lot of my own research. I have a couple of books first that I would like to just suggest. The first is Llewellyn's Ostara. So this has rituals, recipes, and lore for the spring equinox. It has past traditions, it has present traditions. It has, there's a lot packed in this little book. It's definitely great for people who are new to learn about Ostara or the spring equinox. It's you know, I have one, well, each Sabbath I've been getting one of these books and reading them before it occurs or after it occurs, because sometimes I'm really bad with keeping up. But these are very, very helpful, I have to say, except for this one. And I will get into that in a minute. I would also like to suggest the Sabbat Almanac. So this is also by Llewellyn. This is the 2017 one. They come out with a new one every single year. So this is great to pair with this, but this is great to get every year if you want more ideas or more information. So this just has a lot in it. Both of them have like recipes and stuff like that if you like to cook. So these are good. They have like lots of little, what's it called? Things that you can do with kids or with yourself. Just a lot of little things. I really like them. So I definitely recommend both of these. I have been doing a lot of research, and I've also come up kind of empty-handed myself. And that I want to make a point at the beginning of this video, before I talk about anything really regarding the spring equinox, because there is a really good reason why when you go and you search things online or even in books, that there are similarities, but everything's kind of different. And I just want to make it, and I just want to say, like, you know, when you're doing your research and you're taking notes and you're trying to learn, absorb that information, but take it with kind of a grain of salt, because nobody practices the same. Even if someone does practice very, very similar to someone else, there are still going to be differences. Nobody practices exactly the same as someone else. And that's okay. It's not that one person's doing it wrong and one person's doing it right. There's no real wrong in this. There's not really a wrong. Something that I want to bring up is if you're doing, say, a prosperity spell, and you found someone else's spell online and you want to do it for yourself. And in that spell, they require you to use a green candle, because for them, green represents prosperity. Well, for you, gold might represent prosperity. So it is a-okay if you use a gold candle instead. In fact, I honestly, from what I've been gathering lately, it might be better, honestly, if you use something that resonates more with you, that makes more sense for you, if you do that instead of what the recipe calls for, because then it's stronger. It has more of your intentions in it. And it makes sense. It makes sense to you. So I kind of just want to make that point before I get into anything, because it's all going to be different. Like, for instance, myself, I do not worship any deities. So I do not have deities. Every Sabbath, I do not put out any kind of offerings or anything like that for deities, because I do not worship them. I do not really, I don't want to say believe in them, but I kind of don't. But that's just me personally, and that doesn't mean that I'm doing it wrong or I'm doing it right and you're doing it wrong. Nope, doesn't mean that. That's just the way that it works for me. I'm more of a nature person who celebrates and enjoys nature, so most of what I do is in that kind of sense. So I really want to make that point, and I really want to nail that point and like sail it home, because when you're doing your research and you're doing things, you might find that someone else has a different tradition that they do on the spring equinox than someone else. For instance, what I'm gonna do, as you can see behind me, I've already kind of started getting it all ready. I have a bunch of beeswax candles, I have 2 eggs, and then I have an egg carton here full of egg shells that I'm going to plant stuff in. And mainly it's gonna be more so, I don't 100% know what I'm gonna do yet, but I want to use the 2 eggs to represent 2 things as I burn them, and then I want to plant my intentions and have them grow. So that's kind of along the lines of the rituals that I'm going to be doing on the spring equinox. It's nothing big, it's nothing extraordinary. It's pretty simple, and yeah, that's pretty much it for me. I don't even really have colors going on here, and that's like a big thing for Ostara on the spring equinox, and my plant is dying, which is sad, but I don't really have colors going on, which is something I did want, but then I just kind of gave up because it's really hard to find, sadly, around where I am, and I have a dollar store that should be full of Easter things by now, but it's not. So I digress. So now to get into the spring equinox, or Ostara. So that occurs typically March 20th to the 22nd. It could be anywhere between there. 2017, this year, it occurs on March 20th. So the spring equinox is when the hours of daylight and nighttime, day and night, are equal. But we are heading in a direction that's more towards the light rather than the dark. So we are leaving winter behind and we are entering spring. It's the first day of spring. Very, very common symbols for this are eggs and bunnies, rabbits. And from what I've gathered, now this is not something that I particularly believe in, but it might be something that you do and you want to incorporate into your practice. So it seems like rabbits are a symbol or manifestation of the goddess, and then the eggs are fertility and life. I'm not sure if that's supposed to represent the god, but it is a big fertility and abundance time. The colors that you might see around this time of year or on altars are pastel colors from pink to blue, like green, yellow. A lot of food, it seems like asparagus is something that is meant to be consumed on this date. I am planning on doing that because I'm a very big foodie and I love cooking and I love incorporating what I do into my food. So it looks like seeds, leafy greens, young meat, so lamb or game hen, spring veggies, and then chocolate, of course. A good way that I kind of transitioned is I come from a very Catholic and Christian background. My dad is Catholic, my mom is Christian, both divorced, so I got a little taste of each, but I grew up that way. So I have always celebrated Easter. When it came to my dad's side, we would always, my mom didn't really so much do all the fancy stuff. It was maybe church, and that was when we were younger. When we grew up, that kind of phased out. But with my dad, if I ever spent time with my dad growing up on Easter, it was, we would wake up and there would be pastel baskets waiting for us, filled with pastel colored, what is it, like worms, not really worms, but like that stuff that you put in packages now. It was filled with that, and then there were tons of different pastel plastic eggs and chocolate bunnies and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes there would be an Easter egg hunt. And then there would be, we would go to church, we would go to mass at some point. And then usually, from what I'm remembering, and I don't know if I'm remembering it correctly, we would always go to my grandmother's when she was still alive, and she would have like a party, and I remember getting Easter eggs filled with money from my family. So if you are somebody who grew up Catholic or Christian and you've celebrated Easter, you kind of already have a head start in the game, because eggs and bunnies and then the colors and all that kind of stuff, and Easter egg hunting is actually something that is recommended to do maybe with children in these two books that I showed you before. That's one of the crafty type things that you could do. There are a lot of different things in here though. Now, ways to celebrate, and this might be different for everybody. From what I'm seeing, a lot of people may celebrate a deity on this day. I think her name is, I'm gonna mispronounce it, I know I am, but like, it's close to Easter. It's what Easter, it feels like what Easter came from, basically. In fact, I think her name is pronounced Estor or Easter, something like that. However, reading through Llewellyn's book, it seems like, you know, and I don't want to, you know, knock anybody for what they believe, but from what I'm seeing in the old ways and even the new ways, because that section is incredibly short, there's not a lot of traditions that seem like they were really celebrated. Just they mention this deity, and they mention that there's not a whole lot of information surrounding her, and it kind of gave me the impression that somebody made her up and it just kind of stuck. So I don't know a whole lot about her. I don't want to give any information specifically about her because I don't know, and none of my information has really given me anything about her, not even Wikipedia, honestly. So I feel like if you want to do research on that deity, I suggest to just go and try to find your own information on her, if that's something that you want to incorporate, because it's not something I want to incorporate into my practice. Like even like with Bridget was something that I was starting to like connect to, and I was like, oh wow. But with this, after reading this, it just kind of really put me off. So but it seems like a big thing about the spring equinox, at least tradition wise, is there's a big feast, there's meditation, and there's enjoying and appreciating nature. That's what I just keep running into. So I did write down a couple of things that you could do to celebrate without really spending anything at all. Some of these do involve spending, but a lot of them you might just have items laying around. So the number one thing that I wrote down is to just take a walk. Go outside, take a walk. And by taking a walk, I mean really take a walk. Pay attention to everything around you. Preferably do this in like maybe a park or something with nature. Take off your shoes, feel the grass and the dirt and everything underneath your feet. If there's a stream, walk across the stream, let the water hit your feet, hit your legs. Breathe in the air, really breathe in the air, smell everything around you. And I'm sorry if you live in like a very industrial place, but really take in nature when you take this walk. Maybe meditate, ground yourself, take the time to ground yourself when you're out doing your walk. Maybe when you're out, lay under a tree, take a little nap. Go rabbit hunting. I believe I read somewhere that like if you spot a rabbit on this day, it's like super, I don't want to say good luck, but it's just like a good thing to see a rabbit on this day. I would love to honestly see a deer on this day if I do happen to go out on this day. birdwatch. So while you're laying under a tree or as you're walking, try, as you're paying attention to everything, try to spot the birds. Maybe pick some flowers if you see some wild flowers out there. If you have friends or family member and you would like to celebrate with them, maybe have a picnic. Or if not, I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a solitary picnic. And that could be your feast. So bring a lot of food, celebrate in nature, and eat in nature. Plant something, and that's a big one. That's something I definitely want to do. I definitely want to plant something on this day. I really feel connected to doing that. So that's definitely something that I'm going to do personally on this day to celebrate. So get out, if you have seeds, plant them. Preferably, like, I'm doing it in eggshells. And that's something that I saw on Pinterest, actually, even before like I started doing notes on Ostara. I just thought that was really cool, because eggs are apparently a really good like natural fertilizer. So I feel like if the seeds start in eggshells and I plant the eggshells, like that's only gonna help the plants. I'm hoping. I don't have the best green thumb, but I'm hoping. So another good thing that you could do on this day is to dye eggs. You can do it naturally if you want, or you can do it unnaturally. I mean, I think it's preferred to do naturally, since this is all about nature and using things that you have and using fruits and veggies instead of chemicals. But I mean, you do what you gotta do, you know. But if you want to, like, that's a big thing. And that's always been a big thing for me around Easter time, is dyeing Easter eggs. So dye eggs, make some pretty designs on some eggs. And the last things that I have written down here are to smudge and have a feast, of course. So definitely take this time, since this is the time for new beginnings, to smudge yourself of everything that is old and stagnant and you don't want around anymore, to welcome in like everything that's going to be new and coming now. So I also have something else you could do if it happens to rain on this day. Collect some of the rain, some of the spring rain. Some altar ideas I have are, of course, color eggs. So if you do happen to color some eggs, that's a great thing to add onto your altar. Seeds, feathers, spring flowers, wild flowers. So if you do go pick flowers, those are great additions for your altar. And then there's green, yellow, and purple for colors. Foliage, sprouting leaves. So I know I'm probably missing a ton of things. I'm no expert, that's for sure. So definitely leave comments down below if you celebrate a different way. I'm very interested to see all the different ways that people celebrate on the spring equinox and Ostara. I gotta say though, coming from like a Christian background, it's pretty insane to see just how similar this is, and to know that this came first, like that just, I don't know, just learning about pagan holidays is just really interesting to see, especially when I come from, you know, that kind of a background. It's just very interesting. But I do want to like close this out and say that like, I do feel like if you do your research, you will find something that will stick with you. You'll find what makes sense to you, and you'll celebrate in a way that makes sense to you. However, I do feel like you know, as searching around, you will have a hard time really pinning down what traditions happened in the past or even today. From what I've learned, if this makes any sense, that this holiday feels very man-made. So it doesn't feel like there's a lot of tradition that goes on outside of what I've already discussed. And even then, it varies from person to person heavily on this holiday. So don't get too caught up if everything is different when you're searching around. Don't get too caught up. Honestly, just coming from me, and this is what I did. So coming from me, as you're searching around for different things and different traditions, and you're seeing everything is different, why not pick and choose things that feel right to you, that all these different people are doing, pick things that make sense and they feel right, and do those things. Because I don't know, even the idea of celebrating the same as everybody else, it kind of feels weird to me. So and that's just me personally, and I'm sorry if you are somebody that does enjoy celebrating in structure or celebrating with other people. I'm very solitary. I don't celebrate or practice with anybody else, so that's also another thing. I mean, I might, when I take a walk, if I go for a walk on this day, I might take a friend or a couple friends. We might go out and do something. However, they're not going to be celebrating, and that's not going to be the focal point. Although I will be getting outside and I will be enjoying nature. So to me, I feel like that's good. That's what I need to be doing. So really, like, just take a look at yourself and take a look at again, it's gonna be a broken record. Just do the things that feel right to you, that resonate with you on this day. And hopefully some of the ideas that I mentioned in this video are things that you can incorporate into your own practice. Although, you know, I want to be helpful, because you asked me to make a video surrounding this, and I know it might not be helpful because the way that I practice is probably very far out from how other people practice. So I want to be helpful in some way. But I don't know how helpful I can be, unfortunately. The only thing I can really give you is how, you know, I feel or how I celebrate on this day. I tried to give a little bit of background, but again, and like I said, there's a lot of prayers and stuff, but that's why I kind of recommend picking this up. It's at least like $10 on Amazon. It has pretty much everything you'd probably are looking for. Like, it has prayers and divination stuff. So I guess at the end of this, I could give you a little tour of like my sacred space and what's going on over here. It's not 100% finished per se, but like, I'm always changing, I guess. I'm always changing things on there. So give me 1 second. I will show you guys what we got going on over there. All right, so this is my little sacred space. This is basically my altar. It changes quite frequently. I like to change it. So I just kind of want to go into things, basically, what's new on here. This side really never changes, and this side really never changes. It's mainly the middle that becomes like my focal point. It's not a traditional altar by any sense, I don't think, anyway. But I kind of like that. This is how I feel makes sense to me. Again, so like, as you can see, I'm not very structured. I don't have a lot of tools and stuff like that that other people might. I'm just my own me, I guess. So as you can see, I do have a lot of beeswax candles. I'm just going to move this big mama out of the way. So right now in the middle, I have a offering bowl just full of spring petals and leaves and buds and all that kind of fun stuff. And that's right there. Then we have a selenite heart, which came from a Mystical Mojo box. I'm not sure what kind of bone this is, but it is a real animal bone. And then we have this very, very pretty teacup that has a artificial bird's nest in it and an artificial robin's egg, I believe. It's got a couple of flowers from outside, since flowers have just started blooming in our yard. I guess you can consider these weeds, but they looked really pretty, and I decided to add them into this little nest. And then next to it, a resin bird skull. This is not a real bone. Then there are 2 beeswax eggs. These are egg candles. They came in a pack, but I'm only going to use 2. And of course, then there is the eggs. I only have 3 right now. I plan to have all 6 when the time comes. Back here we have another candle. This is from Lilac and Willow. It's a smudge candle. Of course it's focusing on the statue. There we go. And this also, I believe, came from a Mystical Mojo box. I really enjoy this candle. So, got fake wildflowers back here. And yeah, that's really it. I plan to maybe put like some water in this one. I'm not sure yet. And then we have a gold chime candle. And that's gonna be, I think, part of my ritual. And then I plan to burn this big pillar candle, I think, every Sabbath until she's gone, I guess. And this came from the same company as the eggs came from. It is a place out in Ohio. I will link their Etsy store down below. It is a place in Ohio that, it's like a beekeeper place. So this is, I guess, the remnants after, because they sell honey, and their honey is very good. But this must be the remnants of the beeswax. So, and it's all carved, and there's flowers and everything like that all over it. And it's gorgeous. I'm very excited for the Ostara. I'm just very excited to go ahead and go forth with it. So I'm just loving the look and the energy from this the setup, honestly. Like, this is, usually it's very cluttered. I have a problem with cluttered because I like to include everything, but I think I did okay. I think I did pretty okay this time. Yeah, so that is my little space. Alright guys, let me turn back around. Okay guys, so I'm gonna go. If you liked what you saw here, please give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more from me, please go ahead and subscribe. Again, comment down below with how you guys plan to celebrate the 2017 Spring Equinox or Ostara. Give my viewers more ideas. Give me more ideas, please. Definitely correct me if I made any kind of mistakes. I'm very new. This is my first Spring Equinox as someone who is practicing, so definitely all for tips and everything like that. I'm in the same boat as the person who requested this video. So again, I hope everything was helpful. I hope I gave somebody some idea. And yeah, so I will see you guys in my next video, and I hope you all stay well until then. Bye!